Sorry again, I was busy jamming out to the good tunes we play here at the Federal Youth Network. Welcome everyone to the Federal Youth Network Departmental Showcase. I'm Jennifer McDougall from the Federal Youth Network. I'm the Senior Manager of Events and Partnerships, and I'm happy to have with us today a great team who are going to talk about their department and cool jobs there. But before we get started, a few housekeeping items. Alors, bienvenue au ministère sous les projecteurs présenté par le Réseau des jeunes fonctionnaires fédéraux. I would like to begin by acknowledging that I'm here on the traditional and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I'm in Atlantic Canada. The Mi'kmaq people have lived in this land since time immemorial, and I encourage you to take a moment to acknowledge the land that you're joining us from today. Certains d'entre vous viennent peut-être de diverses régions du pays et je vous encourage donc à prendre un moment pour reconnaître le territoire que vous occupez. The feedback we've received from public servants has highlighted an interest in learning more about the inner workings of each department and agency. So to support public service renewal, recruitment, and retention, the Federal Youth Network offers this series featuring select organizations where they can address perceptions about their departments and their agencies, highlight the important work that they do, and share with potential employees what a typical role in that organization looks like. So this summer, we've been showcasing select departments, and today we're excited to be welcoming National Defense. Aujourd'hui, on va avoir les représentants de Défense nationale avec nous autres. Already, I'm excited because we never call it National Defense, at least when we're talking about you. We often call it DND, and I noticed that your email address isn't DND, it says Forces, and hopefully some of all that will be addressed in today's discussion. So there's so much that the rest of us don't know that we're excited to hear about. As we move through today's sessions, please feel free to share your comments with each other in the chat space. But if you have any questions for the panelists, please use the Q&A button. You can use the language of your choice, both in the chat and in the Q&A. When you're putting questions in the Q&A, take a quick read for the questions that are already there and upvote any questions that you would like to have answered by the panelists. So it's a good idea to upvote someone else's question rather than write the same question again, because then it won't get upvoted. Fur et à mesure que nous progressons dans la session aujourd'hui, veuillez partager vos questions en utilisant le bouton Q&A. So, questions et réponses is Q&A. Et si vous voulez voter pour les questions, vous les posez en cliquant le thumbs up. This session is bilingual and not everything will be repeated in both languages, and there is no SI. So if you miss anything, feel free to ask in the chat and we'll do our best to recap it for you. This session is being recorded and the link will be shared tomorrow for your viewing pleasure at a later date. So take it away, DND, tell us all about your department. We're excited to learn from you.
Perfect. So thank you, Jen. Welcome to you all. My name is Chloe-Anne. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. So let me just welcome you with open arms. So I am an DND employee. I work under the HR civil branch. And let me just tell you a bit about myself in terms of my education, how I got into DND, as well as what is the best part of my job. So essentially, I am an HRA, Human Resources Assistant. I am CR5, and what I do is that I assist staffing advisors across Canada. I am located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So each staffing advisor has their own preferred way of doing things, such as sending offer letters and whatnot. And one thing that I love about it is also that I have the ability essentially to train new entrants, although that I have only been here for 4 months. Isn't that amazing, right? So let me just keep going very quickly. In terms of my education, I've been brought up in Montreal, both in French and in English, but in terms of higher education, I did a DEC in psychology, a bachelor's in sociology, and I'm currently pursuing a diploma graduate level in HR at McGill University while working full-time. And this is one of the true benefits of working at DND. They're very flexible when it comes, to leisure things, such as even just wanting to get more about your education or getting involved, in the department, such as what I'm doing today. I will be your moderator today. So then in terms of how I got here, essentially, was through my university. I attended a Zoom meeting, such as today, but it was for the government. And then I was informed of essentially the federal government Facebook page, where I was able to really expand my communication networking skills and my communication skills. And I got to meet a few managers. I had a few interviews, and then here I am with you today. So isn't that amazing, right? For instance, with the great, COVID, occurrence and the great resignation and whatnot, there were also good things in the end with it, such as, online networking and where it got me today. And now what I would say is the best part of my job is that I get to help people basically who are CAF members and who are retired now becoming public servants, essentially. And I also help the job market be a better place today. So today I am joined with 4 of my colleagues. I have Mark Adam. So hi, Mark, do you want to say hi? Then we have Ali Cunningham. Ali, do you want to say hi? Followed by Richard Seville. Do you want to say hi, Richard? As well as Kimberly Surfleet. Donc, bonjour, mon nom est Chloé. Je parlais aussi en français et en anglais. Donc, si vous n'avez pas compris depuis le début, cette session-ci est bilingue. Donc, des fois, on va faire des passages en français ou en anglais. Donc, il n'y a pas de translator. Donc, si jamais vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à nous laisser savoir. Donc, maintenant, je vais vous parler un peu plus de l'expérience des panélistes et leur expertise un peu plus tard. Premièrement, j'aimerais vous informer un peu plus par rapport au MDN ou le DND, le ministère de la Défense nationale. So, switching back to English, I would say that I am super excited now to speak to you more about my department, the National Defense, known as well as DND. So we can go to the following slide. Perfect. So essentially, DND, the National Defense, and CAF, Canadian Armed Forces, les Forces armées canadiennes, is the largest federal department in the Canadian government. It's composed and will grow over 125,000 staff positions, or personnel, as you would like to call it. Let me give you a few statistics. So for instance, in terms of regular force members, we aspire to have 71,500, as well as reserve force members, 30,000. So today, we will look more specifically at the civilian life. As I said previously, HR Civ. So this is only one branch among many other ones within DND. Now, civilian employees are federal public servants who support CAF. So that's why, Jen, she said people who are DND members, sometimes their email address says forces.gc.ca. It's because we actually support CAF members, however, not military staff. So let's go to the following slide. So DND and CAF have complementary roles to play in together. First of all, they provide advice and support the Minister of National Defense, DND. Also, the CAF is really a sole focus on civilians. So there are 4 branches. Essentially, we have Navy for the Marine side. We have land called the Canadian Army. We also have aviation, or specifically called the Royal Canadian Air Force, as well as more Special Operations Forces Command. And all of these 4 different sections essentially try to undertake missions for protection of both our country, Canada, as well as its beloved members, Canadians, and to maintain not only international peace, but also stability, right, with other countries, and just also as a country ourselves. Donc, qu'est-ce que je précédais à dire essentiellement, c'est que les Forces armées canadiennes servent dans 4 compléments au niveau civil. Donc, premièrement, on a au niveau de la mer, avec essentiellement la Marine royale canadienne. Ensuite, au niveau de la terre, c'est les Forces armées canadiennes. Ensuite, on a aussi l'aviation royale pour l'air. Et finalement, on a aussi les opérations spéciales du Canada. Donc, essentiellement, la relation entre le CAF et le DND, c'est qu'on essaie de maintenir la paix et la stabilité internationale. Et aussi, on a une vision qui est importante, qui s'appelle, I'm just going to switch to English now, or okay. Switch to English. So we have essentially a vision that is composed of SSE, strength, security, and engagement. First of all, security, or strength, excuse me, is a focus with military and to defend its sovereignty, Canada. In terms of security, is really to maintain North America, partnerships, for instance, with the United States, as well as abroad. In terms of engagement, it's really with the Canadian Armed Forces doing its part to maintain operations and peacekeeping. Donc, essentiellement, on a un mandat composé de 3 valeurs, qui est aussi notre vision stratégique au MDN. C'est de protéger, de sécuriser et d'être engagé au sein de non seulement notre communauté, mais les pays autour de nous. Donc, premièrement, au niveau de la protection des pays avec les forces armées canadiennes, au niveau de la sécurité en Amérique du Nord, afin de maintenir des bons partenariats avec les pays autour de soi, tels que les États-Unis, et finalement un engagement dans le monde, aussi encore avec les forces armées canadiennes, afin de maintenir la paix et le soutien de nos opérations. Merci beaucoup. Donc, I'm just going to go back to English. So essentially, the defense team is composed of the Canadian Armed Forces, as it was previously mentioned, as well as civilian employees, right? So there are more than 70 different types, which I will not delve into detail because we have a time cruncher, but let me just give you a few examples in terms of categories of jobs. In terms of more physical jobs, we have firefighters, we have ship maintenance, ship for, right, the ocean, the Royal Canadian Forces, right? Or the Marine, specifically the Navy. And then we have more mental, right? That requires more mental and working behind the screen type of jobs, such as working in information technology, as well as conducting research. So we also have many benefits at the DND, especially because we are the largest federal government department, right? So there's many opportunities to work internally, such as Jen herself, and we will be able to share more about, her growth within DND herself. She started as an HRA, such as myself, and look where she is today at a senior level position. Isn't that great? So now I want to talk more about the geographics of where our civilians are across Canada, if you will. Just to let you know, we are composed of more than 25,000 civilians across Canada in each and every single province. Let me just give you a few numbers. For instance, where I'm located in Montreal, there's about 1,700 civilians versus almost 12 times that in the NCR. Would you mind maybe asking, what is NCR? It's the National Capital Region, which is Ottawa. We have a lot of acronyms in DND. So this is just to tell you, in Ottawa, we have about 11,660 compared to 1,700 in Montreal. So definitely, there's also other ways to distribute civilians across Canada with military bases, such as Gagetown and many other ones. All right. So, maintenant, je vais revenir en français. Donc, maintenant, on vous a parlé de notre stratégie PSE, protection, sécurité, environnement. Maintenant, j'aimerais ça parler aussi des autres avantages au MDN, comme le bien-être. So, we have a lot of work-life balance. We have also, where you can work 4 days instead of 5, longer days. But hey, you have your Friday off. Isn't that amazing? Then we also have access to fitness facilities, as well as recreational programs, and as well flex time, or should I say flexible hours. In terms of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have effortless and continuous efforts for representativity of not only our Canadian citizens, and how can I say population, but also internally. For us, it's important to put forward people such as myself. I only entered the organization 4 months ago, and look where I am today, just to tell you a few. And then we also have workplace charitable campaign such as United Way. We also contribute to lowering our ecological, our carbon footprint and being more ecological by actually recruiting profiles by doing remote work. And it's actually good with, the pandemic that occurred and everything. And it enables you to, work at the comfort of your house. So that's great. And we're also very socially responsible, talking about another campaign. I don't know if you heard of Centraide, but this is a charity in the workplace that we really, really value at DND. Another way for us is also, as I said, to reduce our carbon footprint by working remotely. So in terms of compensation and benefits, I would say one of the greatest things, of working at the government, specifically DND for today, but just the government in general, it's that it's one of the best pension plans in Canada, if not the best, quite honestly. And the insurance, don't let me get started already. I mean, dental, health, and even there, you even get free, meetings such as today to inform you about the different branches within, the federal government. I mean, it is a benefit. And then in terms of personal development as well as professionally, je vais juste aller aussi en français. Donc, en termes de développement personnel ainsi que professionnel, le MDN offre beaucoup de promotions ou de possibilités de promotion telles que Jen McDougall, elle a commencé comme moi, assistante aux ressources humaines, et maintenant elle est rendue à un niveau senior. Juste pour vous donner un exemple très rapide, aussi il y a plusieurs formations gratuites avec une possibilité de faire du réseautage, comme nous faisons en ce moment lorsque nous parlons. Donc, on peut aller au prochain, s'il vous plaît. Donc, juste pour terminer le tout avec vous, I want to just thank you and tell you that you can discover the many career opportunities at the Government of Canada by using the GC Jobs QR code here. We also invite you to follow us on DND on social media via Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And, while you're scrolling, why don't you just do a post and, use the defense jobs hashtag. Maintenant que nous connaissons un peu plus à propos de la Défense nationale, le MDN, j'aimerais passer la parole à mes collègues. All of our panelists are civilian employees of DND, and they directly support the Canadian Armed Forces in very unique ways. First up, I'd like to introduce you, Mark Adam. Over to you, Mark.
Hi there. So I suppose you can read there some what's called an IS4, which is an information services position, and I produce videos. Some people might call it propaganda. I like to think of it as the God's honest truth in what I'm doing. So I started off in the film industry, did a bunch of really sort of technical stuff on lighting and camera. That being on a film crew is a very physically taxing job. So I moved into editing, which gave me this sort of well-rounded, like one-man band kind of filmmaker, storyteller kind of skills, right? And I did a lot of, in private industry prior to working for the government, I did a lot of government videos. And it kind of sparked my interest in doing this kind of thing, because I realized that actually within the government, there's some fantastic stories, particularly within national defense. But for example, I did a thing for Agriculture Canada, and they had invented a soybean plant that can grow in the Gobi Desert. Nobody knew that. Totally cool. Fisheries and Oceans, I did a video for about the maintenance of bluefin tuna stocks in the international oceans and the cooperation between American fishermen and Canadian fishermen to do this. And then you get in here, and national defense, to be fair, is full of really, really amazing people. It's a little different, I think, than a lot of other government agencies because of its association with the military. And to use a hockey metaphor, these military people skate really fast. Like they bring you along with them in terms of like the sort of tempo at which they work and the seriousness of which they approach these things. Most people are so I'm gonna show you a little video here. It's called The Calf Story. These are small documentaries that we produce for the department that we put out on social media. And the idea is to give people who may be thinking about perhaps a career in the department or in the armed forces in uniform, maybe a little slightly different view than what one might consider the sort of the standard thing. My colleague sort of pointed out, there are a lot more jobs in here than, jumping out of an airplane with a machine gun. It's actually an extremely, organizationally complex environment. So if you're interested in HR or management, this is about the most complicated type you're going to get. This is otherwise referred to as logistics, which is an extremely important military capability, and any army is very, very, very good at it. See how your vaccinations showed up in the past little bit. That was our Air Force and our Army figuring it out, picking it up, and having the right equipment to get it to you. So I'm going to play a video, and it's about this woman, Captain Jennifer Bass, who is actually a visual artist. But it turns out she's one of the best submarine hunters in NATO. So if we can, I guess Olivier was going to play that video, correct? No? Or do I?
I will share it just 1 second.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So.
Well, there's a lot of stereotypes that come with what type of things you'll be good at. And I mean, I have an art background, so when it comes to charts and spatial awareness, I already have a lot of background that lends itself toward that. And I was always excellent in math. So that helps as well, because so much of our job depends on doing math quickly, or doing dead reckoning, or just checking the numbers make sense when you're flying somewhere. So all of that is like a skill that I've been learning for years, and then gone to more school and courses in my military career in order to work on that. And that just has to do with the fact that my brain is very good at that. I'm Captain Jennifer Bass. I'm an Air Combat Systems officer, and I currently work at 415 Squadron in Greenwood, Nova Scotia. Before I joined the CAF, and actually I still am an oil painter, I also used to do book arts as well for my undergrad degree. After that, I went to Acadia Divinity College, and I have a Master's of Arts in Theology, specializing in Hebrew Bible. And I'm currently doing a Master's of Arts in Études Canadiennes, and that is through the University de Saint-Boniface in Winnipeg. The Aurora is Canada's long-range patrol aircraft, and our specialty is anti-submarine warfare. We'll do our patrols on either side of the country, of course, mostly over ocean, but it's also totally able to go over land. So we took it to Kuwait based on its surveillance abilities. We'll do generally very long flights in order to collect information. We can do everything from fishing patrols to Arctic sovereignty to drug interdiction with the plane. So I have definitely encountered sexism in my job, though not as much from people in the military as people outside of the military who think that we couldn't possibly do what we are doing. A lot of them are like, oh, you can't possibly, you're not strong enough. We have the same physical requirements. We go to the gym, we do everything. There is nothing physically that I am unable to do that somebody else can. Or one of the other ones is just that you're too emotional, which is also ridiculous because my job is not based on emotion in any way, shape, or form. Well, I would say for women who are looking at joining, definitely keep up all of your math and your science jobs. It's really going to be extremely valuable. You might not think it, but it really, really will be. It'll make everything so much easier and give you a lot more opportunities as you get older and start looking at what careers you want to do. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be difficult. There's going to be people who think it's silly or get angry or don't like what you're doing, but it's very rewarding.
So what I'd like to say about that story and why I really, really love my job here at National Defense is because, as you can see, that's a really non-standard view of what the military's like. I mean, she's not at all what the cliche would require to be, you know, air crew or a soldier of any kind, really. And yet, she can do it. And that's what I love about national defense, is that if you can do it, whatever the task at hand is, you're going to do it because we need you to do it. So I guess that's my thing. And oh, sorry, there's two. It's really great to be bilingual at DND. And yes, DND, and this is particularly due to military ethos. It's going to sound a little harsh, but the military likes to have people who are trained up in all sorts of different positions, and they're always moving each other around. And they kind of do the same with the public servants, because in the armed forces, people get blown up and killed and they need to be replaced really quickly. Now, that's the basic ethos, but that means that, again, this meritocracy, if you are capable of performing a task, a job, a role, and you desire to do it, this department will do everything it can to facilitate your success in that respect. Not because we have big hearts or we're nice, it's because we need you and we need you to perform. So that's my story. And yeah, and being bilingual is c'est vraiment important, parce que je crois que à part de la population canadienne, ici c'est le moitié francophone, moitié anglophone, c'est 50%. Et ça va être plus facile si vous êtes bilingue, juste pour fonctionner, etc. All right, that's my show.
Well, thank you, Mark. And now we will hear from Ali Cunningham. Bonjour, Ali.
Hi, my name's Ali. I'm a communications advisor in the Civilian Human Resources Organization at DND, working in strategic communications. I went to Carleton University for communications with a minor in business, and I was an FSWEP student at Natural Resources Canada, where I supported their departmental young professional network team. I was bridged into DND as a human resources assistant, and when my manager asked what my career plans were, I told him I wanted to work in communications, so he connected me with the comms team, and I started as a communications officer. I'm part of a growing comms shop that has design and multimedia capabilities, engagement, and in-house translation. My job in StratComms is to help my primary clients, who are HR specialists, create tools and resources that can be understood and accessed by my secondary client, which are members of the defense team. I don't actually work with any military members. All my colleagues and clients are civilian employees. What's unique about my job is that since DND is made up of military and civilian, there can be times where military members manage as a civilian employee. And because there's so many different types of jobs at DND, like nurses, engineers, tradespeople who don't have regular access to computers to receive important information, for example, if they're located on a ship or in a kitchen, we have to get creative in the way we communicate to our audiences. So to mitigate this, we created a monthly newsletter called HR Matters that gets sent out to base and wing commanders and contacts on the ground, who then circulate it digitally and also print it and post it around common areas on base and wing to ensure everyone receives timely and accessible HR information. Some examples of other things I do are social media content for recruitment, web and mobile app content. We have our own app called HR Go, which gives users to HR information on their personal devices, and other recruitment and marketing products like I support with creating scripts for videos and things like that. And that's it for me. So if you have any questions, just let me know.
All right, well, thanks so much, Ali. That was great. Et maintenant, j'aimerais ça passer, the mic to Richard Seville. So, Richard.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you see me? All good?
All good, Richard.
Awesome. So my name is Rich. I'm the director of the PG Community and Academy and Material Group at DND. So if you don't know what PG means, it's our Procurement and Supply Group. It's all the people that buy things and manage our material. And if you think of the military, all the material they need that needs to be bought, managed, moved around the world, your DND civilians play a huge role in that. So personally, I started as a Army reservist in high school right here in Ottawa, and then I joined public service as a procurement officer. So I joined unilingual without a degree, and right now I'm almost bilingual. National Defense is paying for that. And I have an MBA, and National Defense paid for that as well. So if you're looking to join National Defense, you've got training opportunities, language training opportunities. They help with education. Awesome. I don't think I would have progressed in my career without that support. So back to my career, after buying everything from trucks to clothing to laboratory equipment to small arms to IT systems over about 20 years, I moved to more of a corporate role. And it's here that I found my favorite project. So a little bit about me, I've always loved to teach, and I get great personal satisfaction when I see an idea click with someone, that moment of aha, and they really get what you've been teaching or tried to impart. So my team and I created a community management office for procurement officers. And so the next extension of that is I've just been asked to create an academy to develop our procurement officers throughout their career. So from the first level of PG1 up to the PG6, which is just before executive. So the opportunity for personal growth is tremendous in that I bought things. I'm really good at contracts, but now I have to create a school. I have to stand up. How many of you have tried to build a curriculum in a school and charted the course for future people and public servants? It's just the complete difference in my switch from procurement to more human resources and school and teaching is fantastic refresher on the brain. I really get to understand more about myself and develop as a career. You don't have to, once you choose a path at National Defense, you don't always have to follow it straight. You can go horizontal. So with me at National Defense, I realize that there are many, many people that are smarter than me on any number of topics. So my day-to-day activities revolve around finding brilliant public servants and convincing them to work with us to develop the community. As an example, I was talking to a colleague of mine at Canada Revenue Agency this morning, and she was helping me and giving me ideas on standing up and creating an academy. And so not only are we working within National Defense, we're also working horizontally between all the other departments. So thanks.
All right, so thank you so much, Richard. Merci, Richard. And finally, I will pass it over to Kim Surfleet. À toi la parole, Kim.
Merci beaucoup, Chloé, et merci à vous tous d'être parmi nous aujourd'hui. Je m'appelle Kimberly Surfleet et je suis la gestionnaire du programme des prix ministériels, reconnaissance et gestion communautaire. Alors, ça fait depuis 22 ans que je suis une employée du gouvernement du Canada et j'ai commencé comme étudiante à Agriculture Canada quand j'ai fini mes études au Cégep. Et j'ai commencé comme étudiant et j'ai fait la progression de ma carrière et finalement, pour les dernières 15 ans environ, j'étais une conseillère stratégique pour de nombreux sous-ministres adjointes dans divers ministères, tels que Santé Canada, Patrimoine Canada, Travaux publics et services gouvernementaux Canada et Services partagés Canada. Lorsque je me suis joint au ministère de la Défense nationale, ça fait plus que 4 ans, je me voyais honnêtement poursuivre le cheminement de mon carrière comme conseillère stratégique jusqu'à ce que j'ai eu une opportunité de gérer le programme des prix ministériels et reconnaissance. C'était une occasion de faire partie de quelque chose de grand, reconnaître nos employés de l'équipe de la Défense pour le travail incroyable qu'ils font ici, en tant qu'organisation de l'équipe de la Défense. Mon travail me donne l'opportunité de m'engager avec des personnes de tous les niveaux et de veiller à ce que le travail qui se fait dans les coulisses par nos employés, qui va au-delà de leur travail quotidien, soit reconnu. Que ce soit un prix d'excellence, une mention élogieuse du sous-ministre ou même un bravo virtuel pour dire que le travail que vous faites est très bien. Et les assurer qu'ils savent que ce qu'ils ont fait ou continuent de faire fait grand honneur à notre équipe de la Défense. Évidemment, cet après-midi, après cette présentation, j'ai le plaisir de m'asseoir avec notre sous-ministre associé et plusieurs sous-ministres adjointes pour choisir les récipiendaires pour les prix d'excellence de 2022. Alors, c'est vraiment comme conseiller stratégique, je me trouvais que mon rôle, c'était d'éviter les feux. Et ce fois-ci, comme dans mon rôle maintenant, comme gestionnaire des prix ministériels et reconnaissance, j'ai le plaisir de trouver les nominations et de trouver les employés et les équipes qui font une différence ici. Alors, non seulement que j'ai les privilèges de la reconnaissance des employés, mais je peux aussi travailler avec nos communautés. Je suis responsable pour les réseaux des gestionnaires de l'équipe de la défense, les réseaux des gestionnaires militaires, notre réseau d'étudiants et notre réseau de jeunes professionnels ici à l'équipe de la défense. Rassembler toutes ces communautés et découvrir comment nous travaillons, découvrir comment nous pouvons mieux les soutenir ou leur permettre de s'engager avec diverses parties prenantes à leur travers le département est passionnant et tellement gratifiant. J'ai vraiment l'impression que le travail que moi-même fais avec mon équipe fait une différence et soutient notre département vers ses objectifs de protection, sécurité et engagement. Il me reste moins de 15 ans dans ma carrière de fonctionnaire et mon but est vraiment de passer le reste ici avec le ministère de la Défense nationale. Il y a tellement d'opportunités et tellement de travail formidable à faire ici que je ne me vois pas jamais partir. À moins, bien sûr, que je gagne la loterie ou quelque chose comme ça, je continue d'être un fier employé de l'équipe de la Défense et je vous encourage tous à nous contacter si vous êtes intéressés à vous joindre à notre ministère et à faire partie de l'excellent travail que nous faisons.
Well, thank you so much, team, for sharing a bit about yourselves and your roles at DND. Merci d'avoir partagé vos rôles et panélistes, ainsi qu'un peu de vous au MDN. So now we'll move on to the questions from the audience, which you may use the Q&A function, right? You can just click on the button. And please remember that you can also vote with your thumbs up option. Donc, nous allons maintenant passer aux questions du public. Donc, vous pouvez utiliser la fonction Q&A, donc questions et réponses, or answer. Et n'oubliez pas aussi que vous pouvez voter pour les questions en utilisant le pouce en l'air. Donc, essentiellement, la première question goes to Mark. So essentially, Mark, your job sounds very, very fun and interesting. And so I wanted to ask you, what is the favorite story that you ever told someone at DND, or that you ever told at DND? Oh, Mark, you're muted.
Geez, some video producer I turned out to be didn't turn the mics on. Holy cow. Anyways, all right. So this story, not 100%. This is my favorite DND story, and I don't really know if it's true, but I've heard it a number of times. So there's a unit. It's called the Canadian Rangers. So these are primarily Indigenous folks up in the far north in sort of parts of Canada where it's not easy to deploy, a highly technological military force. So these guys kind of keep an eye on the north, but apparently there's an old dude up there who can recognize by rivets and shapes whose submarines or whose that are popping up out of the ice up there. And apparently he climbed up on a Russian sub and he broke the periscope glass with his snow axe. Cool, huh? And that's the kind of badasses that are around this department. Makes it so cool.
Well, merci beaucoup, Mark. Et maintenant, j'aurais une question pour Ali. Donc, many young public servants are just looking to get their foot in the door, right? So we even had some previous questions about bilingualism, right? Can you move internally? So can you get your foot into the door regardless of the role you may perform? Earlier, you said that you started off as an HR assistant, or I said it, someone said it, and then moved into a communications role. So essentially, overall, are most managers at DND supportive of organizational mobility and career growth at DND, would you say?
In my experience, yes, my supervisors and managers have been very supportive. Within the first few months of starting in my entry-level position, which was a CR5 position, my manager asked like what I wanted to do with my career and like what opportunities he could provide me and expose me to so that I could get there. And now my managers have promoted me from within the team after getting enough experiences and provided me multiple acting opportunities. And one thing that I will also say is that about getting your foot in the door is I put my resume up on GC Connects through an old colleague that I knew, and the manager that hired me said that the only reason he hired me was because I put my restaurant experience on there. And he said the reason he decided to move forward with me after seeing that experience was because the nature of the job he was hiring was a fast-paced client service team. And from his experience, people who had worked in restaurants are really good at providing good client service, prioritization, and multitasking, which are all skills that you will need at one point in your career. So I would say, even if you don't have a lot of experience, it's important to add those jobs that have those transferable skills. And yeah, that's it. I've been very supported so far in my career.
Well, thank you so much for answering. And now we'll go to the last person. So Richard, we have a questions for you. So there are two questions essentially. Excuse me. So what was your favorite purchase working at DND? And what is the best way to contact you to find out more about job opportunities as you're actively looking and potentially even build your own academy, within DND?
Okay, I'll start with the first question. That's my favorite purchase. So, I could talk about the tanks, the guns, the ships, but my favorite one was a small little purchase. To give you a bit of background, we have to supply Alert. It's our most northern base with supplies, and you can only fly there during certain times of the year. And if you fly there too late, you can't get back down. But so they don't send planes up there normally in January or February. So there was a plane that was about to leave to fly there in December, just about Christmas time, and it was sort of the last supply run. And they realized that all the de-icing fluid in defense had expired for some odd reason. And so I had to scramble to get de-icing fluid. If I didn't get that de-icing fluid, then that plane would have flown up, the transport plane, and stayed in Alert for 2 months until things thawed, until they could get another plane up there with more. So our regular supplier of de-icing fluid was out. So I had to find another supplier who wasn't used to dealing with DND. So they needed all sorts of certificates and validations that we were going to use this de-icing fluid safely in an environmentally friendly manner. And I ended up getting 4 barrels of de-icing fluid delivered to the plane at 3 in the morning. And the plane took off at 6 in the morning. So I had about 3 hours to spare. And so the plane was able to take off, fly from Trenton up about 8 hours to Alert, de-ice, and fly back down to Ottawa. So it was a small little purchase, but I was scrambling, trying to get things done at the last minute at Christmas time with no one around. And I got it done. And those are the little purchases that really make me feel good, because I could see the immediate tangible benefit. In terms of joining the material group, we're starting off with an academy, and we will start off with hiring PG1s, and the plan is to have the first cohort of students come through probably starting at the end of this fiscal year. So if anybody wants to join this development program and become a procurement officer, or just find out more, at the bottom of my slide, so if you go back in the presentation, there's a GCpedia link. We have a presence on GCpedia, and at that GCpedia site, you'll be able to contact the community management office, and our community management office will be able to guide you in the process of how to come over and become a procurement officer. We don't expect anybody to be trained in procurement at this first level. So really, you're looking at common competencies. Can you solve problems? Can you think? Can you work on your own? Those are the basic competencies that we're looking for. the rest we'll teach. We don't need you to know how to spell contract, and it'll work. Did I answer the question?
Fabulously. Did you want to add anything before we move on to actually another question? Kimberly, not Kimberly. Yeah, she's back. So, perfect.
I'll move on to Kimber.
Sorry?
We can move on to Kimber.
All right. Thank you so much, Richard. So, okay, Kim, are you here?
Oui, je suis ici, Chloé.
Super. Donc, maintenant, je vais revenir en français pour notre audience francophone. Donc, essentiellement, ma question, et merci d'être venu, j'espère que tout s'est passé bien, c'est est-ce que le côté militaire influence beaucoup la culture civile de le ministère de la Défense nationale, le MDN?
C'est une question très intéressante, Chloé. En effet, oui. Le côté militaire influence beaucoup la culture civile de façon positive. Moi, j'ai eu le plaisir de travailler dans plusieurs ministères fédéraux et je dois admettre que le MDN a une allure plus professionnelle. Je crois que ceci est dû à l'emphase mise sur la discipline et le respect au sein des forces armées canadiennes. Personnellement, même que je ne vienne pas d'une famille militaire, j'ai un gros sentiment de fierté lorsque je me promène à travers un complexe et je croise des membres de la force en uniforme. Comme gestionnaire du secrétariat des prix et reconnaissances ministérielles, j'ai le privilège de recevoir des mises en candidature incroyables et de membres des forces et membres civils de l'équipe de la défense. C'est vraiment un rôle épanouissant. Mon rôle me permet de voir plus directement l'impact de mon travail et celui de la MDN sur la vie des Canadiens et Canadiennes.
Donc, est-ce que vous vouliez ajouter quelque chose ou y avait-il d'autres questions, je pense? Kim, je pense qu'on avait une question pour toi.
Oui, j'ai vu une question qui a rentré. Laisse-moi le trouver.
Sur l'équité en
Oui, je le vois. OK. La question, c'est How is DND building a more equitable workforce? So I'll take that answer because I'll answer the question actually because that falls within our area within my workforce within DGWD, which is our workforce development HR Civ. So we're making measurable progress to dismantle systematic barriers. Sorry, going back and forth from French to English, I'm getting tongue-tied. So we're making measurable progress to dismantle systemic barriers in the staffing regime and across HR disciplines. We're conducting employment systems reviews. We're establishing and implementing innovative and inclusive recruitment and retention strategies for equity-seeking populations, including the continued implementation of our Indigenous recruitment and retention strategy, targeted recruitment and retention strategies for all equity-seeking groups. Last year, we ran the Executive Visible Minority Recruitment Campaign. We are going to provide timely and effective staffing and data-driven strategies to attract and retain the highly skilled, diverse workforce needed to deliver on the defense team mission. And we're working on removing the red tape in staffing processes and HR processes as a whole. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And for the individual who asked the question, if you do have any further questions or need further information, please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly and we'll provide you with some more.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I'm going to pass it out now to Ali. So Ali, did you want to answer maybe one question? That would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I believe I was asking what I wish I knew. What is one thing that you wish you knew when you began your career in DND? So I started at DND in 2017. I just graduated university. And so I just kind of accepted any job that would give me the best opportunity. But I wish I knew that there are so many different types of jobs at DND and so many opportunities because it is so big. You can have your entire career at DND and like do so many different types of things, even just within the different organizations. Like right now I'm in human resources, but there's communication jobs in the same group that Rich is in ADM materials. There's a communications group in the IT group, the finance group. So depending on what your interests are, there's tons of opportunities. The civilian culture, from my experience, has been very good. All of the people that I've worked with have been very kind. My team is like a family. I've never had a team like it. And we're in a time of change right now, and sometimes that can be scary, but I'm excited to be along for the ride and contribute to the positive changes that national defense is undergoing right now. So that's my answer.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Ali. I'm gonna switch it up to Richard or Rich. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll talk about student bridging for just a second. I've hired students before. We've taken F-SWEP students and bridged them into jobs as procurement officers. So traditionally in the material group, we get a huge hunk of our training through, or hunk of our staffing done through student bridging. It's like a try before you buy. And I'm not saying from the government's perspective, I'm also saying it from the student's perspective. They get to try out national defense, see if they like the job, do a work term of 4 months. If it works out, what I've personally done is I've hired that student 1 day a week or 2 days a week for the next semester or the next 2 semesters, working around their schedule. So if they can work Monday afternoons and Wednesdays, I'll take Monday afternoons and Wednesdays. And then when their next break is between semesters, so they now have the semester off, they come back in full time. And at the end of it, if the student likes the job and we like the student, if it's a good match, we'll give them a letter offer and hire them. So we do some significant bridging into the procurement officer stream virtually every year. So it's for us, it's a normal process, and we've been very successful at doing that, the student bridging, for years.
Mark, is there a question you would like to ask? Don't forget to unmute yourself, Ari.
Geez, how embarrassing. I'm supposed to be a video technician. Clicking around. I don't know how it works. I think this is just an incredible, like she was saying, not only is the department, as far as opportunities in here go, not as the department so large, but it's so varied in what is going on. I mean, it goes from incredible leading edge science of, aviation and radars and material and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure Rich would know all about that. All the way to this very sort of soft skill, humanistic, HR kind of areas, and everything in between, all the health services, communications, and then obviously being able to deliver ordnance on targets type thing. And just to echo my other colleague, one of the things that I really like about it the most, and this comes from working, for a long time in the film industry, which is, what it is, right? The loyalty, the dedication, and the passion toward like our collective project as a country, as a nation. And that kind of stuff is really inspiring to be around constantly. So that's my answer.
Well, thank you so much. So I just wanted to say thank you to my colleagues. All right. And thank you, the public, for joining me for this session today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you about our department, DND. I believe you will all agree that DND is a wonderful place to work at, with endless opportunities of growth. Right? Donc, je tiens à remercier le réseau de jeunes fonctionnaires fédéraux pour l'occasion de participer à cette séance, ainsi que mes collègues. N'hésitez pas à nous contacter si vous avez des questions, besoin de plus de renseignements amples. So, as I was saying in French, feel free to contact us directly through LinkedIn, wherever. And I will now hand things back over to the Federal Youth Network. Thank you. See you soon.
Thank you so much, friends from DND. That was really interesting. I know that I learned some things. I'm sure everyone on this call also learned some things. Others will be viewing the recording and learning things in the future. So thank you so much for the great preparation, all the work that you put into sharing your department's mission and vision and a typical day at DND with us. So thank you to all the participants online with us right now. Thanks for attending this week's Departmental Showcase with DND. Merci d'être venu pour la session Ministère sous les projecteurs de Défense nationale. Due to popularity and feedback, we have extended a little bit into this month. So we will be doing shared services next week. Alors la semaine prochaine, ça va être service partagé qui va nous présenter les affaires de leur ministère. We will be sending out feedbacks for this pilot. The whole series together is one big pilot. So please give us your feedback about what things you would like to know more about. You can definitely reach out to the DND folks directly if there's things that you would like to talk to them about. Their information was available in the chat and it's also available on our wiki page. Merci à tout le monde d'avoir assisté aujourd'hui. As a reminder, you can find all the resources, including the PowerPoint presentation and some infographics for today's showcase, along with the link to the recording on our wiki page. The links are also posted in the chat, and if you didn't get a chance to take those, they'll be on the wiki page as well. So be sure to check back tomorrow if you'd like to have the link to the recording. Pour vous faire rappeler, vous pouvez trouver toutes les ressources ainsi que les enregistrements des sessions précédentes sur notre page wiki, et tous les liens ont été postés dans le chat, mais aussi on va les avoir sur notre page wiki. So thank you again for taking the time to spend with us today. Luckily, we're ending a couple minutes early, so I hope you take that time to do a good stretch and get some water. And thank you so much for everything that you contribute every single day. Thank you. Merci à tout le monde. Bonne journée.